Brucella is an obligate aerobic, fastidious, gram-negative, intracellular cocobacillus. What is fastidious? Now fastidious means it's not easy to grow this organism in the laboratory, and it is gram-negative, and intracellular means it exists inside the cell, and cocobacilli is the shape. It has the shape of a cocobacillus. It causes the highly contagious febrile illness known as brucellosis. And as I told you in my introduction only, it's a zoonotic disease. That means it's essentially a pathogen of goat, sheep, cattle, pig, etc. And man acquires the infection by direct or indirect contact with infected animals. The disease has been named after Sir David Bruce. First identified species is Brucella melitensis, and the name melitensis comes from Malta Island. That's why the disease is also known as Malta fever. There are many species, but the most common ones associated with human disease, I want you to remember just these four. Rest you can afford to forget. Just remember these four. So what are the important ones? Brucella melitensis, Brucella abortus, Brucella suis, and Brucella canis. So, if you look at the names carefully, you don't have to remember it. The names are very suggestive of where they exist. See, so Brucella melitensis, it is usually pathogenic for sheep and goat. Brucella abortus, why abortus? Because it leads to abortion in cattle. Brucella suis, you all know suis stands for pigs. So it's a disease, it's an organism found mainly in the pigs. And Brucella canis, canis stands for canines like dogs, jackals. So it causes it's a disease in animals and leads to abortion. However, a few cases are also reported in men. Amongst these, the most important ones are Brucella melitensis. This you can't forget, please remember. There are a few other species like Brucella ovis and neotome. Now since they do not cause any disease in man, so it's okay, we won't discuss them any further. Coming to antigenic structure, the somatic antigen of Brucella contains two main antigenic determinants, A and M, and Brucella abortus contains 20 times A as M and melitensis 20 times M as A. What is a bacteriophage? I would want to know. Do you know the meaning of bacteriophage? Anybody? Yes, please. Any volunteer? Nobody. That's very bad. So bacteriophage means, phage means to eat, and bacteria you all know. So bacteriophage means it's a virus that eats the bacteria, that feeds on the bacteria. So another classification of Brucella is being done on the basis of the bacteriophage to which it is sensitive. And you have to remember, you can forget everything, but please remember Tbilisi phage, TB phage. It's a very important pre-PG MCQ question also. TB phage is specific for which organism? So it is specific for Brucella. You have to remember this. There are a lot of classifications available for Brucella. They are based on carbon dioxide requirement, on H2S production, on sensitivity to various dyes, basic fusion, thionin, agglutination by monospecific sera, and phage lysis by Tbilisi phage. Leaving everything aside, this is now the most important part of my lecture, pathogenicity. Why should we read Brucella? Because there are species which are pathogenic to human beings, like I told you, melitensis being the most pathogenic and abortus and suis of intermediate pathogenicity. Incubation period is 1 week to several months. I will keep on telling you again and again during the whole lecture that this is a zoonotic disease, a disease of the animals, and man acquires the infection how? Number one, direct contact with animal tissues like farmers, dairy workers, butchers and veterinarians. These are job profiles that are in close contact with animals, so they are more predisposed to getting an infection with Brucella. Now, a very important thing which I want you to remember at this point is, why am I stressing on this? Suppose a person comes to you, you are sitting in medicinopedy and there's a person who comes to you with a fever of say 1 month duration, and various investigations have been done, typhoid has been ruled out, TB has been ruled out, and you still can't think of anything. Now you would, when you think of differential diagnosis in such a patient, brucella would come to your mind. And what is one thing in your history that may clinch the diagnosis? You have to remember to ask the history about any direct contact with animal tissues. You have to ask about the job profile of the person. If the job profile is such, say the person is a butcher, that means that person is coming in close contact with, may be coming in close contact with infected animal tissues, and this is one fact which will clinch the diagnosis and help the patient. Clear? So remember. Number 2, it can be foodborne. That means by ingestion of contaminated meat, raw infected milk or milk products. So you have to ask again the history. Is there any history of uncooked intake of uncooked food, uncooked poultry, food related to poultry, say eggs, say meat? So you take that history. Number 3, it can be airborne, where it occurs by inhalation of aerosolized organisms. And yes, very important, you have to remember, always the processing in the laboratory has to be in a biosafety level biosafety cabinet. Why? Because it can spread by airborne, and it can spread in labs as a result of accidental ingestion, mucosal and skin contamination. So what is my next point now? If it can spread through all these routes, so while the technician or the doctor is processing this organism in the laboratory, it is extremely important to wear personal protective equipment. Your mask, your gloves, they become extremely important. Now what happens, when the organism first gains entry into the human host? Upon initial site of infection, the organism enters the bloodstream, and then it goes and gets sequestered in the reticuloendothelial system, say your bone marrow, say your liver, your lymph nodes. Other organs that may be affected are placenta, musculoskeletal and genitourinary system. Now immunity in brucellosis is mainly cell mediated, and tissue reaction, there is granuloma formation. So when a person comes to you with a long standing fever and histopath is done, there may be granuloma and there may be some confusion with tuberculosis. In that case, you have to take occupational history of the patient, and of course there are other diagnostic modalities upon which I'll talk in the later slides. Again and again the same thing is coming up, that it is a zoonotic disease, so transmitted from animals. Now coming to human infection. Human infection is mostly of 3 types. Number 1, which is the most common, fortunately, is a latent infection with only serological but no clinical evidence. That means the person has the infection, there is serological evidence. When you test the blood, there is presence of antibodies in the blood, an elevated level of antibodies in the blood, but thankfully the person's immunity is handling the organism well. So it's a kind of latent infection wherein the organism survives happily in the human host, so there are no signs and symptoms. Number 2, which is extremely important, is acute or subacute brucellosis, which, as I told you, it is also known as Malta fever and Mediterranean fever, wherein the patient comes and presents with a history of fever which is of recent origin. And number 3, very, very common, as chronic brucellosis, wherein the patient will present with fever of a long standing duration, and this will be a typical case of pyrexia of unknown origin. Acute brucellosis, as I told you, the most pathogenic species. In my last slides, people, yes, you have to answer this question. Which was the most pathogenic species? I discussed it in my last slide. Yes, Brucella melitensis is the most pathogenic species, and so acute brucellosis is caused mostly by the species, and this is a classic triad of fever, arthralgia and hepatosplenomegaly. There may be muscular pain, there may be attacks, asthmatic attacks, and profuse night sweating is a pathognomic feature. So person gives history of drenching sweats. There is anorexia, constipation and irritability. So mood changes are there. So this is what happens in your acute brucellosis. Coming to chronic brucellosis, so it can be a non-bacteremic infection. That means bacteremia means presence of bacteria in the blood. So non-bacteremic means it is not present in the blood anymore. So fever will not be very high grade and of recent origin. Fever will be, it will be a low grade infection with periodic exacerbations. Periodic spikes in fever will be there, but by and large it will be a low grade infection of a chronic nature. And it is also known as undulating fever, Malta fever and Mediterranean fever. All these names you have to remember, you can't miss. This is a very important pre-PG MCQ also. So don't forget, please remember the names. Can you all repeat with me? Yes, undulating fever, Malta fever and Mediterranean fever. So what will the patient come to you with in OPD? Patient will say that there is fever off and on and there are periodic exacerbations and there is sweating, there is lassitude, joint pains with minimal or no pyrexia, and the illness may last for even a year. If such a patient comes to you, you're doing your internship in medicine OPD and such a person comes to you and this history is given to you. Now there are many things that will come to your mind, so you have to elicit the history very carefully, as I told you earlier. Rarely disease may be transmitted from person to person by sexual contact and by the transfer of tissues including blood and bone marrow, and this organism has a predilection for placenta because of presence of erythritol there. So this is important. It's a MCQ also, and there's a little glitch. Please bear with me. Yes, it's back. So if you want to cultivate the organism in the laboratory, you can have culture media which can be enriched with erythritol. So that will increase your isolation rate. Now, if a person like this comes to you and you have to do diagnosis. So number one, I told you, you will ask about the history of any exposure with close contact with animals, or history of say uncooked poultry products. What all samples would you like to collect in such a case? I want all of you to think about this and answer. Please disregard what I've put here, you answer this. So a person comes to you with fever. It could be a recent fever, it could be a long-standing fever. What will you do? Number one investigation, a sample that you would want to collect is blood. Then since I told you the organism sequesters itself in the reticuloendothelial system, so you would want to collect your bone marrow also. Then if there are CNS features present in the patient, you could take CSF, and whatever organ system is involved, you would collect the sample from that very site. So it could be a joint fluid or a tissue biopsy can be taken. You have to remember, you have to appropriate biosafety precautions are a must when handling this organism. Blood culture is the most definitive method of diagnosis. Chances of positivity are more at pyrexial phase. Subcultures are made every 3 to 5 days, and Brucella melitensis is the most commonly isolated organism. Now this is something known as Castaneda method. It's a very important thing, and I want you to see this slide today and go back. My lecture is coming to an end, but I want you all to go back and read about Castaneda's method. All information is in the book. There is information on Google also. In my next class, I'll ask you questions also regarding this. So read what is Castaneda's method, how it is better than your conventional blood culture, and what are the other advantages, what are the other diagnostic modalities. So with this, I'll thank you all for patiently hearing. Go back, read your books. Thank you very much.